talking about maps and people who draw them may not be everyone's favorite idea of good TV, but the maps we're talking about tonight dictate the politics of Wisconsin and the policies that shape your everyday life. Of course, we're talking about redistricting. Republicans have released new maps, and scores of people showed up this week to protest them. Democrats are going to have their own as well, and as investigative reporter Nicole Herzog explains, all of this is almost certainly going to end up in the courts.
And it's just irritated me over the years.
Bill Taylor from Middleton was ready for the call.
Ranked like 10 years ago, it was awful. And it just shouldn't be.
Governor Evers' People's Map Commission opened a crucial political process to anyone in the state. Taylor was one of nearly 2,000 that stepped up to the challenge.
The way to be fair was to have the people vote on what map they would like.
Splitting up the state happens every 10 years after a census. Under our state constitution, the Wisconsin legislature gets to draw state maps, and the governor gets to approve them. It's one of the single most significant political powers, deciding who gets to represent you in both the state house and Congress. That's redistricting. And when it's manipulated by partisanship, it becomes gerrymandering.
Wisconsin's gerrymander was a pretty extreme outlier.
That's how a purple Wisconsin has kept a Republican majority hold on the state legislature for 10 years.
Partisan gerrymandering is not a Republican or Democratic issue. Both parties do it, and it has to do with majority party control.
Here's one way that happens. In a place where the minority party usually wins votes, the party in control can dilute those votes into several districts. That gives the majority party a better chance of winning the overall area.
So here in Wisconsin, the Republicans were in charge last time, so they redrew the lines to help their party. But again, Democrats have done this in other states when they have unified control.
Is it fair? The Republican who helped draw the last round of maps says it's a process that will always be driven by political parties.
Well, the Constitution does put redistricting in the hands of the legislature, and then, of course, the governor has to sign it. So by its very design, redistricting, whether good or bad, is a partisan process.
2011 was unique. For the first time in several map drawing cycles, one party controlled both the legislature and the governorship that signs off on the legislature's maps. But this time, it's different.
We have one party control in the state legislature that is unaccountable to a diverse community in our state, and that's harmful.
In federal courts, Democrats are trying to sue to force the courts to draw completely new maps if the governor and the legislature can't agree on their own.
So now we want to make sure that community, everyone in the community participates in this process to ensure.
That's not the only lawsuit. Republicans are asking the courts to make as few changes as possible.
It creates the least political perturbation among the current political balance in the state.
It's highly unlikely there will be an agreement.
We'll get something probably between what the Democrats want and what the Republicans want if the federal courts end up drawing the maps, which at this point probably is the most likely outcome.
A decision that will spell Wisconsin's political future for at least 10 years to come.
This is not an issue that should polarize people. This is an issue that everyone should be able to agree. We want fair maps that give voters a chance to pick their leaders and not to have a process where politicians get to pick their voters.
In Madison, Nicole Herzog, News 3 Investigates.
You can find out more on what happens next in Wisconsin by checking out our website, channel3000.com.